Hello, I'd like to speak about the UK visa system. My opinion, in short, is that many people who apply may well be wasting their money. This is because the system is deliberately, I suspect, kept opaque so that they can let people in if they wish to and not if they don't wish to, but keep the criteria indistinct. So let's see what could have been done. They could have had a form where, as you filled it in, they got to know whether your circumstances were such that they would let you into the country. I've got no problem with any country deciding who enters and who doesn't. But what I do dislike is it being kept vague and indistinct, so you don't know at the outset what your chances are. So they could have had a system where they had a bond type system where you paid money when you went into a country and got it back when you left, like American bail bonds. They could have a daily charge for people overstaying their visas. Some other countries do. But the present system where you're encouraged to fill an online form, you then pay money, you then wait for an interview with a centre where they process your application before they send it off to the visa authorities in England. And then you wait for a decision, about 3 weeks. Then they say, oh, we made a decision, but they don't tell you what it is. I suspect they don't release the actual decision until a few days before your aeroplane is due to leave. This is a way of stopping you getting cheap deals that could have been organised earlier. So the circumstances of our case were that our friends live in a hot country, or country that's warm at this time of year. So we didn't really want to go and visit a warm country at this time of year. So we thought it'd be better if they came over here. So we were egged on by the UK visa website and did the applications and paid the money. And yes, they said they'd made a decision, so we had to chase them up on that to see what the decision was. To send them an email, they charge you money. If you try and phone them, they charge you even more money. It's almost like the visa authority's complaint system is its most profitable part. I think the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy had a bit where the complaints department of the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation was its most profitable part. But I'm pretty sure that Douglas Adams created it as a work of science fiction rather than as an instructional manual to the Home Office. Anyway, you get your rejection letter sooner or later, and you can compare this with the criteria which they say they implement. They say, we will make our application process clear and simple. Yes, you can apply, but the decisions criteria are far less clear and simple. And they could have had an application process that weeded out people at an early stage. Respond to your inquiries in full. No, despite me having emailed them, all I get back is, please provide me with application numbers and other details that you've already got, without anything useful. They presumably have to tick a box saying they've done something within 48 hours, but the box doesn't say whether they've done anything useful in those 48 hours. Make a correct decision based on policy and law, understanding your individual circumstances. Well, they've let themselves down badly there. The reasons for refusal were, you have no close family ties to the country from which you're applying. Well, our friends have lived there all of their lives, their parents have lived there all of their lives, all of their families are still there. So how much more family do they need? It's almost like they've looked at somebody else's application form. You have limited ties to your country. They've got proper full-time jobs there. All of their family and friends and relatives are there. They've recently bought a flat there, which is why they haven't got an awful lot of money at the moment. And the thing is, the documentation for all this has been provided to the visa authorities. This is not questions that weren't answered in full. you haven't got many resources, i.e. you can't afford it. Well, my invitation letter showed that I was going to pay the full costs. Airfares, visa fees, you name it, I'd have paid it. But for some reason, this isn't deemed good enough. Now, if they didn't think that a sponsor's finances were relevant, why did they require me to provide details of my bank accounts, house ownership, etc.? Well, have they got shares in a paper factory somewhere? So then they say, oh yes, your wife's totally dependent on you. No, his wife's income is almost as great as his is. But they've failed to take any account of that at all. So the nub is that it's beyond belief how dire the decision-making process is. One of the reasons was, oh, it's based on interviews that we've had with you and your sponsor. Well, our friends say that they didn't have any interviews, and I certainly haven't had any interviews. I haven't been to that country for over 10 years, or about 10 years anyway. So we're faced, so you then look to see, well, maybe the next thing that they say is explain our decision clearly and, where appropriate, help you understand what to do next. Yes, they do. They explain clearly that they've made a decision based on random reasons. Their things of what to do next is best summarised by the words, you have no right of appeal or to administrative review concerning this decision. So what they say is, don't do anything next, tough, you've had it, sunshine. So then they say, have a simple to use complaints process that puts things right if we make a mistake. Well, how does a preceding thing from their decision letter raise any prospect of a complaint being raised? It doesn't. If they had a complaints process, they should have put it in the decision letter. As it is, I've contacted them, and they're being as evasive and elusive as they possibly can be, possibly caused by years of practice. I don't know, but it doesn't bode well. We will treat you with respect and be sensitive to your situation. Well, the hard luck, mate, we've got your money and you can't do a dicky bird about it is hardly very sensitive, is it? We'll keep your personal information and anything you tell us safe and secure. I suspect this may well be a way of avoiding it being passed to other parties. They asked me for the consent of my friends to me discussing this with them, and they gave me 5 days in which to get this consent, which included a weekend. Fortunately, we managed to get the letter to them within the requisite short period. It may be upsetting them, but there we are. We will seek your feedback to continually improve our service. Well, I filled in the bits on the online form suggesting how they could improve it, and I've asked them what they're going to do about it and haven't had any response, and I can't see any great chance of getting one. So there we have it. The high-handed attitude disturbs me. I consider that this puts the UK in a bad light, and my suggestion is that unless you're in the top 5% by wealth in your country, then applying for a UK visa may well be a waste of time. But there we are. Anyway, I've done my bit to warn you. It would be nice if the authorities had done this, but for some reason, possibly due to or caused by massive income piling in, they don't. Thank you.